control is to push them into the like balanced partner mode basically all the time. Because they're never fertile, so they never enter the fertile part of their cycle, so they never experience.
They're hyper estrus. They're hyper hormoned, so they go after these weird chads because of the high estrogen.
Okay, maybe that's what it does. But it keeps them in only one or the other for like a very long period of time. And so you can see how after they drop it, there's like a whole side of their psychology they're not used to doing things. So
I think Abtal's right in terms of the physiology.
Stuff like that.
Oh, no. I'm asking, these non-Muslim nations, have they accepted Sharia?
What do you mean by Sharia?
Okay, here's the thing. Surah At-Tawbah.
Hopped from air mattress to air mattress. Broke bitch. Fat ass.
Air mattress to air mattress is crazy.
God. Laying on his back, kicking his feet up.
A full-size bed or something, a bunk bed or something. I ain't gonna lie, I did everything I could do, y'all. I can't stop it. This shit going any farther. He left it alone, sis. It's over. I know you don't. You just crazy, gang.
What I missed today? What happened today?
Oh, that's London.
When I played my next
Crown King just got packed up by Ariota. He got kicked out the room.
Hold on, what you got?
Hey, play.
Hold on, Larry, it's a diss track? I ain't know.
Dominic's okay to play it. I would like to once you guys are done being combative with each other.
I was fucked up. I did it. London, one mic on you. I know you want that.
One mic on Larry. One mic on Dami.
Play.
Play that shit, nigga.
Play that shit.
Bro, what are you finna play?
Excuse me.
What you finna play?
I'm about to play a diss track on you.
Okay, run out there.
I got you.
Oh, baby, yeah. Okay, here we go. Vince, you might as well do that one because you know how it goes again, so
I think if you are in good health, like a normal BMI, generally, eat well and kind of in tune to your body, you know exactly where you are. But I think there might be other factors, who knows? We have a lot of weird things we put in our bodies that maybe could trigger something or change something. So like the whole calendar method or, intuition method is a little bit dangerous.
The rhythm method.
What do you mean? If women could obtain adequate training and income without having to go into the office or go into university, then we wouldn't need birth control. They could just start having children when they're 20, and that would be better for them, and it would be better for everybody. So how do we get to that reality? That's where we need to address the question of women's work.
The financialization of homework, housekeeping, and child rearing and looking after family, caregiving.
I don't like this idea at all. And I've heard it and I get it in the sense of like women do real labor, right? Like I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm getting back into work now, but I have been for like the last 3 years. It's hell. It's awful. It's thankless. It's just a shit ton of work. But I get so much value out of it. Like if I want to get paid, I can go get a job. But I don't know. I think that I don't know. I just reject the idea that people should be paid for that.
Is that back problem? Is that back end value, Pete? It's like you after the fact, when you're actually in it, you realize the value in it. But that without the carrot up front, that the hell and it being thankless and stuff may be the perception of what that would actually be like for someone.
If you need a carrot, though, you're not a good mom. Like, obviously, you want to be like, that's where I'm like confused. I think most women have a pull to be at home with their children, at least from like the 0 to 4 years. They can't always, that's maybe a flaw in our society or something, but there is, just a desire to do that. Maybe it's hybrid, maybe it's a little work here, a little, but like spending time with your baby, that's
I hear that, but that's after you're pregnant and then you have the child and then you're in it. But in terms of incentivization to actually take that plunge without the payoff of having been through it and knowing instinctively that this feels right and this has value, you may not have that up front before you actually endeavor into it, right?
Yeah, it's a structural problem with our society that we're like, don't worry about it. Think about it when you're 35, and then, start doing that. And then women, get into that situation and they're like, oh shit, I should have been doing this.
So, I guess all I would say is like the problem with paying women for having children and housekeeping and so on is these are not factors in the economy. So you can't really value them, right? We have what is quote unquote a factory.
But aren't they like isn't there like a indirect value because I got a red bar. The idea is that you're creating value through raising viable members of society who will be productive over the long term of their lifespan. And that is a benefit.
Yeah, but you can't. But it's not a factor because it's not like a factor in production that you can value. You see what I'm saying?
You can't quantify it.
Or you can, but only like 50 years later. Like, oh man, your kid was a really good cellist. You did all this work so your kid could be a good cellist. And he made some movies. He made soundtracks for movies. Well, now we can pay mom like $80 million, but that's like 40 years too late.
Also, the more I take off, it's like comparative.
No, sorry, I probably have a slight delay. You make your point and then I'll...
Oh, I was going to say, it's also comparative advantage, too. Like, the more I take off my husband's plate, he just started his MBA. He's an attorney, and, there's going to be an upside to that, too. And so there is already a value built in of that choice. So, I don't know. And I get to stay home and, they get to be with their mom or whatever.
Yeah,
so that's great, too, for us.
So but also you get a lot of money as a result of this, and you get access to a lot of valuable stuff, and you have equity in your husband, essentially, which if you choose to divorce, you can cash out all that equity. So, so that's like another way to look at it. It's like the household is really a child development corporation, and the woman is a 50% shareholder in that corporation. So then someone can't pay her for taking care of her own investment, that's like a bit. So,
I mean, I think it's a weird conversation. I mean, trying to frame it in this way is strange, just because if you were to start putting numbers on things and then you actually, once you start doing that, then you think in terms of optimizations. And to optimize, really, it should be like, the fertile women are having like 12 babies, and also, I mean, if your society has, if they can engineer or select for people that are gonna want to be the most productive, etc. There's just other things that happen. Someone's just having one kid or two kids, and then they're giving up like their career and all the money, and then if you start saying, oh, you should pay these women to whatever, it's like, well, you'd probably you're losing a whole lot more money. Society's losing on just paying someone with one kid to stay at home versus the woman who's pumping out like 12 kids, which is what people used to do.
There's much to talk about there, but Adam, let me just like circle back, I guess. Do you get what I'm saying about the factor? Like, is it a factor in the economy? How do we even know how much to pay for it? And how, like, that's a problem?
Yeah, I guess it's difficult to quantify. I guess I mean, like you could look at the costs associated with dysfunctional families, dysfunctional upbringings, childhood poverty, these sort of things, and the costs associated with that on a macro basis. But again, that's still like, you're talking kind of like at least 25 years out before you can see it. I'm just, like the statistical probability of being incarcerated, antisocial behavior, degeneracy, entitlement, dependency, these sort of things, like, relative to like their socioeconomic childhood conditions and psychological issues, these costs in the healthcare system. Like there's a lot of associated costs with instability in childhood that we end up paying for anyways.
Yeah, but how
there's a lot of like.
mom?
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of like correlation versus causation there too. I would say certain groups you could probably be a lot more having no parents in the home and they're not going to go to jail, but other demographics would.
Okay, but let's say you're right about all that, Adam. How much can we afford to pay mom on the basis of that?
Well, how much is it? How much can we afford? Or how much are we willing to pay? Depends.
You're saying, look, there are costs to society, which is, some $1,000s a year for mom not being there. So let's say we could give that money to mom instead, all of it, and then instead of paying for policing and homeless shelters and stuff, we're just paying mom. So how much could we? This is like the upper limit on what we could pay mom. And I think what you're going to find is you can't pay mom very much. And in particular, you can't pay Paige enough to not be, a woman leader, one of the biggest woman leaders in the country right now, I'm sure. You can't pay Marissa Mayer. You can't pay Marissa Mayer enough to raise her kids. You can't even pay the average dentist enough to raise her kids.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's
true. That's true.
Yeah.
And it's and also does it work? I mean, we look at in particular Scandinavian countries have long-standing incentives, tax breaks, all sorts of stuff to mothers and fathers more recently, spanning many decades now. And the birth rate it's not doing what it's intended to do. So even if you were paying someone, it'd have to be so handsome, and that would just be unaffordable. And maybe it wouldn't even work, right? Because it probably wouldn't. Because when there's this phenomenon when women are emancipated, socioeconomically and socially, sexually, they tend to have less kids, and it's not even culturally based, right? We're seeing this phenomenon at large across cultures, across geography. So,
and I think that's where the conversation is now, though, because. Yes, that's a good point. Women got jobs and women, but now they're kind of in golden handcuffs because they can't.
Hey, Cara, I'm just watching this beautiful sunset over KC. I'm staying at the Marriott. I'm here for the week working. Um, Anyways, hope you're having a lovely evening. I don't know if you're free tonight, if you want to get a cocktail. I know you say you're tired, but if you're up for it, let me know. Hope you're having a great evening. Bye.
To prioritize women, are comfortable when they have their babies and maybe can stay home a little bit longer with them.
Okay,
That there's good, I don't know,
what's the number?
daycare available. All that stuff I think is super important. I think France does a good job with it. I think they're the only ones who are in Europe. I think they have the highest birth rate in Europe now. I feel like Jason, you would know, but they're doing a lot of like very specific programs to incentivize having children, and they're practical. Like they work. They make it a little bit easier for the mom. They encourage the mom to have the baby. You get like 30 days off before you give birth to the baby. Then you're home for like 4 months to 6 months to a year, whatever you want. And I don't know, there's just so much other stuff that goes into it that takes a little bit of the load off.
Did you say Friends?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. In the EU, it's the highest fertility rate. Yeah, followed by Romania, Bulgaria, and Czechia.
Yeah, I think it rose a little bit recently, right? I'm not sure.
It did, and then it's down again a little bit. Yeah, but it's kind of hovering around 1.8, which is still not. It's not replacement, but I mean, it's not Korea's 1.2 or 1.3. South Korea is at the lower end right now, lowest end.
Okay, I've heard that. Yeah.
In Canada's like 1.3.
What do you think the birth rate is of the pygmy people of Papua New Guinea? What do you think about the birth population of the people of Papua New Guinea?